Alright, what's up everyone? So today, we're going to be taking a look at why Resident Evil 2 2019 was a masterpiece by Jay's Reviews. But before we start, I just want to say that I'm not attacking this guy, nor do I have a problem with him. This video is just for fun, so if you're a fan of Jay's Reviews, don't take it too seriously.
What I think has made Capcom more successful in recent years than they might have been before is that games like Mega Man 11, Devil May Cry 5, and Resident Evil 2, or RE7 even, is that they doubled down on what makes those franchises what they were.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Anyone with half a brain would know that Capcom's been straying away from what made the franchise what it was for literally 20 years at this point. If Capcom doubled down on what made Resident Evil what it was, we'd have fixed camera angles for psychological horror and tension, door animations for build-up, memorable music for atmosphere and immersion, etc., along with modern enhancements and innovative ideas, not half-assed remakes and generic first-person horror games.
I don't even really think horror was the main thrust of The Last of Us, but that's not the subject of today's video. We're talking about Resident Evil, a series I actually don't have a lot of experience with.
Wait, what? You basically just said that Capcom have been doing a good job of staying true to what made the series what it was. How can you know what makes a true Resident Evil game when you're not even familiar with the series?
RE4 gave me the motivation I needed to pick up the Resident Evil games, and now I own them all on Steam. At this point, the only RE games I've played to completion are 4, 7, and the remakes of 2 and 3. I started playing the RE1 remake on Steam, and I got a decent ways into it, but I ended up focusing my attention on the 3D Sonic videos instead, and playing Devil May Cry on the sides.
And that further proves my point.
I figured that since being scared is not a good feeling, I would not enjoy horror-themed video games, but seeing the gameplay of RE2 was different. It looked fun, which is an external reason why I think the traditional third-person controls are actually a benefit of the game's appeal. When I watched footage of it at launch, I thought, hey, it looks like plenty of other games I've played, maybe I will try it. Now, that doesn't transfer to good or bad design, I'm just saying that from the offset, this game is modern, and I do believe that's an important quality of AAA games. You don't want controls that feel archaic, as that would potentially turn off new players.
You say third-person and modern controls are important for appealing to new players, but isn't it more important to cater to, I don't know, the fans of the original? When you're remaking a game, your number one priority should be the original fans, not fucking new players. If they don't like the old systems, then tough shit, play a different series.
I opened this video by talking about how Capcom's newer games have been so popular by leaning in on what made their classic games popular in the first place.
But they haven't, have they? Half of what made the Resident Evil games popular to begin with aren't even present in this game. No fixed camera, no tank controls, the amazing soundtrack is gone, no cheesy dialogue which people may consider bad, but you can't deny that it was a huge part of what made the early games so memorable. Even small things like the zombie sounds aren't like old Resident Evil. The characters are unrecognizable, Leon looks like Justin Bieber, Ada's voice sounds nothing like the original, Claire's a completely different person visually and audibly. There's a few things that feel true to the original, like Lickers and maybe the RPD, but even the RPD looks completely different most of the time because the areas are so fucking dark.
Resident Evil 2, like the first Resident Evil, had two characters to play as. Leon Kennedy, the rookie cop on his first day being met with a zombie takeover, and Claire Redfield, the sister of the previous game's male protagonist, Chris Redfield. You can also play the story first as Claire and second as Leon, although you don't get much extra content out of this. To experience the entire story, you need only play it twice.
That's probably got something to do with the fact that the scenarios were completely watered down in the remake, so yeah, I agree with you.
But I was talking about the scare factor. The Licker, these disgusting monsters have no eyesight, the trick being to move past them really slowly so they can't hear you. I can't recreate the moment, but when I first saw that monstrosity, I was fucking shaking in my seat.
Do you know what would have made the first encounter of the Licker even more terrifying? The cutscene from the original that introduced them and had actual build-up. You know, the cutscene that was removed from the remake for some reason? But you wouldn't know about that, would you? Because you don't know anything about the original, yet you still call the remake a masterpiece.
I know it sounds stupid because none of this is real, it's a video game, but this is immersion.
Something else that would have made it more immersive is the music, but oh yeah, they removed that too. Still a masterpiece though, right?
With enemies this intense, what can you do about it though? Claire and Leon can both unlock a bunch of different weapons over the course of the game, and on that note...
Well, everything besides the bowgun. Another thing they cut, by the way.
Although I don't think the game is perfect, but my list of issues is pretty small.
What do you mean you don't think the game is perfect? I thought the game was a masterpiece. Make your bloody mind up, will ya?
Then there's this part where Leon, in a moment that really doesn't even feel like it belongs in this game, gets chased by a brain-eating zombie T-Rex.
Doesn't belong in the game? It's in the original, of course it belongs in the fucking game.
My biggest issue is that the soundtrack for the remake, with some exceptions like Mr. X's theme, isn't really that amazing. I thought nothing of this in my first playthrough, but when I got the original soundtrack DLC, it just makes such a difference. But that's honestly all I can say I don't like about this game. Things that only amount to nitpicks as far as my experience with the game is concerned.
You consider cutting the soundtrack out of a remake of a 20-year-old game a nitpick? You see, it's reasons like that why Capcom pull this kind of shit, because they know they can get away with it. If you ask me, that's more than just a nitpick. That's unacceptable.
I never even played these extra modes that add to the story. This is just a great game, bursting at the seams with content and replayability.